Peymon who?
Mottahedeh.
Peymon Mottahedeh. Who is he?
Never paid taxes in 30 years. Fought the U.S. tax court and won.
See, I believe our rights come from God, not from government. Hello to my truth and freedom-seeking friends. I am Peymon Mottahedeh, the president of Freedom Law School, and have not filed and paid any federal income taxes for over 30 years, and been teaching Americans like you to do the same legally and safely for over 30 years. In this presentation, I will cover the topic of if you have filed a W-4 form exempt at your job to stop your employer from automatically stealing money out of your paycheck to send to its really slavery, IRS, why you need to do it again every year, unfortunately, by February 15th. And I'll give you the overview of the whole process, which it's on our website, freedomlawschool.org, for you to see. So let's go talk about the fact that you can stop the withholding on your paycheck for free at freedomlawschool.org. All you gotta do to find this page to stop the income tax withholding is you go to on the right, on the top right of our page, on that menu, number 3, free yourself from tax withholding is right there, and that gets you to this page, which has video instructions and written instructions in detail. You should really read and understand this page. It's not that much, people, okay? Please take a little time to protect yourself from the crooks in the IRS and Department of Injustice lawyers. You should understand this page and do it properly as I explained to you here, okay? Now, before we get to that, though, okay, if you go to our website, you know we have 7 steps at Freedom Law School, okay, to free yourself of IRS deception, fear, robbery, and slavery, okay? And the 7 steps are on the front page of our website. You click on the 7 steps, and it takes you right there. You go down these, you see steps one after another. Step 5 is a critical step, and this critical step is what? It's question authority. That's right. You write your Congress members, file and pay income taxes only if your congressman can show you the law that requires you to file and pay income taxes safely. This way you can free yourself of IRS deception, robbery, and slavery, okay? Now, in this process, okay, when you go to there, okay, you write your lawmakers. It's very important to do this thing. This will protect you in many, many key ways, okay, from IRS criminal prosecution, okay? Now, we have the petitions on step 5 on our website, okay? Individual income taxes, employment taxes, and self-employment taxes. They are there for single as well as married individuals. The forms are there. You've hopefully done that already. If you've not, you should do this at the same time that you stop him withholding from your paycheck. Right away, as soon as possible, you should do these free petitions, send them to your congressman by certified mail. And for our Restore Freedom Plan members, we get those done for you right away ourselves. That's just part of your Restore Freedom Plan membership that it comes with. But otherwise, you should do it on your own anyways. Here's the one, for example, for justification for congressional investigation of unlawful collection of individual income taxes, okay? And in this petition, as always, we have the law exactly quoted verbatim from the IRS's from the U.S. government's official legal websites, and have it at the end of it be attached, okay, and listed attached for anybody to be able to read it, especially your congressman, to easily understand the law that you are pointing out to them. At the end of the petition, you are being very humble, okay, and you're saying, I believe every person should pay their fair share of income taxes according to the law. I've shown you the law to you, okay? I've shown you that Like me, most Americans are not included on the list of those who are liable to pay individual income taxes. Okay, and you let the congressman know, look, if I'm wrong about this stuff, all this thing I'm showing you, all the laws from government's official legal websites quoted and attached, show me. Okay, show me I'm wrong, that I do owe federal income taxes. I will gladly pay all taxes due and will consider such payment to be my fair share of taxes. Of course, if they cannot show it to you, you want the congressman to stop the crooks in the IRS Department of Injustice and judges to misapply the law to you, okay, that you don't owe the taxes to begin with. So that's individual income tax petition, and this should be enough, but it's not usually with the employers. Here's a petition to correct the legal conclusions about employment tax laws, that if you're wrong, correct you, or investigate and stop the widespread misapplication of these laws by the government. Here, we focus on what? Unemployment and payroll taxes, okay? Right here in these 4 paragraphs, okay? That is what the focus of this petition is. And in this petition, at the end, after the law being quoted and we tell them, look, I'm asking you as my representative in Congress to correct me if I'm wrong about my legal conclusions that I've shown you in these petitions, okay? So I can properly follow the law, and I will pay my fair share of income taxes if you can correct me if I'm wrong. But if my legal sources that I rely upon are right, then I want you to do something about it and talk to other members of Congress to stop the widespread misapplication of these employment tax laws by the IRS, Department of Injustice, and even certain federal judges. Okay? So you should have done this already beforehand, like I said, or at the same time you start withholding on your paycheck. And it may work. Less than 1% of the time I've seen employers read this thing and say, oh, you're right, geez, why am I paying income tax myself? And they stop. But over 99% of the times, employers unfortunately do not stop. They don't read your letter, they ignore it. To them it's too much, like, what? How could it be? You telling me that the emperor wears no clothes? They experience cognitive dissonance. All their lives they've been lied to by accountants, bookkeepers, CPAs, the tax attorneys, the media, the pastors, that you got to pay your fair share of income taxes. Otherwise, you are a crook, you're a criminal, you see? So when you tell them the law is actually opposite of what they believe, they just don't believe it. They just cannot fathom how they could have been wrong all these years or decades. These petitions should be enough to have them, stop withholding from your paycheck, stealing from your paycheck, but usually it's not. That's why we have the W-4 exempt letters on our website to get around this disbelief of the ignorant employers. And the law that they're afraid of is this. Title 26, Section 3403, liability for tax, which says the employer shall be liable or responsible for the payment of the tax required to be deducted and withheld under this chapter, and shall not be liable to any person for amount of any such payment. I think, okay, as long as I follow what the IRS says, my accountant, CPA, tax attorney says, I'm safe. So I'm going to steal it from the employee's paycheck. That's why they do it. And they believe that Section 3402, is of the federal income tax laws, is the one that requires them to do the withholding. Here it says, except as otherwise provided in this section. Every employer making payments of wages shall deduct and withhold upon such wages a tax, determined in accordance with the tables or competition procedures prescribed by the Secretary, which is the IRS. So that's what they believe they're following. But of course, as you'll see, they're not an employer according to the federal tax laws, and you're not an employee according to federal tax laws. This does not apply to you or your employer. But try to brainwash them is not easy to do, right? So because of this background, now you have to do the petitions. Okay, here it is, the W-4 exempt form. Okay, employees, W-4 form, employees withholding certificate that the IRS has employers have forced you to fill out before you begin to work. Okay, and then you see there's the instructions page. Okay, general instructions. Okay, about this exemption from withholding. And the relevant parts of these instructions are highlighted for your protection and your education and employer's education as well. If you claim exemption, you will have no income tax withheld from your paycheck. There it is. So employer knows, oh, okay, you did exempt. They should follow IRS's instructions and do not withhold from your paycheck any income taxes. To claim exemption from withholding, certify that you meet both of the conditions above by writing exempt on Form W-4 in the space below Step 4C. Then complete Steps 1A, 1B, and 5, and do not complete any other steps. So the employer realizes you doing it correctly, okay? So here it is, okay? The W-4 exempt for W-4 form, and you go down a little bit lower. Here it is. In this part, you write here. We wrote here for you already. We wrote for you exempt in this part below 4C. See that right, the 4C, and below that exempt. And we added this line. I am claiming exempt per IRS instructions on page 2 and release of employer liability below. Okay? Here it is. If you read this thing, this is for your protection. You should use this form. Do not use the one that the employer gives you. Use the one we give you on paper if you can. Okay? If it's a computer one, you have to go through a computer. But if it's a paper W-4, use ours. I'll cover what to do about the electronic one later on if they force you on a computer to do this thing. Okay? So here it is. We have here release of employer liability. We've added to this form. Okay? I am furnishing this form to get paid as required by company policy. See, companies' policies to force you to not hire you without W-4 form, or they steal 30% of your paycheck if you don't give them a W-4. Okay? Yet I do so under duress, which means under force. The employer says, I will not either hire you or I'll steal 30% of your paycheck, give you a lot more if you don't fill out a W-4 form. Right? So you want that? Of course not. Mm-hmm. So this is what duress is, that you've been forced to do something you naturally, normally would not want to do. Okay? So since my pay in this employment position is not wages, per Title 26, Section 3401A, because I'm not an employee as defined under Section 26 U.S.C., Section 3401, and continued on page 2, as you shall see momentarily. See, Title 26 U.S.C. is this: United States Code, Federal Tax Laws, Internal Revenue Code is a common name for that. Here it is, the whole book, the Bible of the IRS, over 10,000 pages of gobbledygook of confusion, tissue thin, tiny font, so you just give up. You don't try to understand this. Neither does your accountant or CPA or tax attorney. They just have you be a slave, right? So, but we follow their Bible and force it on them, right? We know the law better than they do, better than the employer's CPA or tax attorney, because we go straight to the law. So, continue on page 2 of the general instructions. And here we release of liability is continued. See, these are the laws. I'm going to go over these things, by the way. What I list here is going to be actually attached and a part of the W-4 exam. This is for your protection. That is, listing is done here, okay? And attach all these laws and court cases. So let's go over them right here, okay? First, Section 3401. Wages is defined here. What does it say? For the purposes of this chapter, the term wages means all remuneration, okay, for services performed by an employee for his employer. Well, that looks like you, right? Wrong. It is not you. You're not under federal tax law an employee, and your company is not an employer, as you shall see. This is all attached to W4 exempt because the word employee is defined further down in Section 3401 under C. For the purposes of this chapter, right, this chapter on withholding, the term employee includes an officer, employee, or elected official of the United States, a state or political subdivision thereof. By the way, states in federal tax law means District of Columbia, not the 50 states, as we covered that before in our previous videos, right? Not the 50 states, remember that. Okay? Or the District of Columbia, or any agency or instrumentality of any one or more of the foregoing. Okay? The term employee also includes an officer of the federal corporation that's referred to, not just any corporation. But there it is. Nobody that works in the 50 states, even federal government workers or state government workers, are employees. Okay, these are people that talk about people. Actually, federal workers could be subject to that, but not state employees or county employees. And who is the employer? Well, look at this. For the purpose of this chapter, the term employer means the person for whom an individual performs or performed any service of whatever nature as an employee of such person. So, the key term is, again, employee. It's all attached to W4, okay? So these things really matter, very important, because employee is what? He's a federal government guy, a federal government worker of some sort, not you, the people in the 50 states, right? But no one reads the law. It's hidden in plain sight right here in the Internal Revenue Code, which is available for free online at uscode.house.gov, that we show you every week on Freedom Law School's videos, okay? They just said nobody pays attention to the law, right? So, that being the case, I want you to know the Supreme Court in these cases like Stenberg versus Carhart reaffirms that these definitions are very important, okay? That definition of employee, you cannot assume that employee is anybody who works for an employer. No, it's only someone who works basically for a federal government agency or instrumentality, as we just read. So let's get that confirmed by the Supreme Court that says when a statute includes an explicit definition like the one we just saw, we must follow that definition, even if it varies from that term's ordinary meaning. Okay? And it is axiomatic, which means self-evident, obvious, that the statutory definition of the term, something defined by statute or law, excludes unstated meanings of that term. Okay? So, and in another Supreme Court case, Gould versus Gould, the court even is more clear on this issue when it comes to taxes. 9-0 unanimous tax case in the interpretation or understanding of statutes, laws, levying or imposing taxes. It is the established rule not to extend their provision of tax laws by implication or implying beyond the clear import of the language used, beyond what the language of the law clearly shows, or to enlarge their operation of tax laws so as to embrace or include matters not specifically pointed out. If something is not specifically pointed out, it's not there. And in case of any doubt, the tax laws, are construed or interpreted, understood most strongly against the government's power to tax and in favor of the citizen not being taxed. Boom. So these laws are, what you're seeing here is attached to your W4 exam, because in case if necessary, they want to come after you, you get to show this to the jury. That's right. That's why, for example, Stenbeck versus Carhart, okay, these cases on the right side, look at this. What's on the right side? This is very important. I have here that important notice. The opinion of U.S. Supreme Court in this case is 27 pages long. I've only included the front page and this page of the opinion to keep this document short for you, right? This page of the opinion is a holding and not a dicta of the U.S. Supreme Court. In case of jury trial, I reserve the right to provide the jury the entire opinion of the U.S. Supreme Court to verify this important legal point for themselves. That way, the crooked government, DOJ, lawyer, and judge cannot keep the law from the eyes of the jury to see for themselves because they lied to the jury by not showing the jury the law. Okay, they want to keep them deceived as slaves to take you down. That's why you got to have these cases attached to your W-4 exam, just like I have for you right here. Okay. So here we are. The 3402 about W-4 exam part is right here. Okay, what does it say? 2A, on commencement of employment, on or before the date of a commencement of employment with employer, okay, the employee shall furnish the employee with a signed withholding allowance certificate relating to the withholding allowances claimed by the employee, okay, which in no event exceed the amount to which the employee is entitled. You're entitled to have nothing withheld from your paycheck. All this does not even apply to you. Remember, you've been forced to do this thing, okay, on the dress. Otherwise, you don't have to do this at all. But you've been forced to do this as a way to stop the employer from stealing your money, okay, which is going around widespread throughout America, sadly. All right. So the details about this thing, about this subsection, is right here in this pages. A little bit more about it. You can read it later on you if you want to. Okay, but it does talk about here about employees incurring no tax liability and notwithstanding any other provision of this section, an employer shall not be required to deduct and withhold any tax under this chapter upon a payment of wages to the employee if there is an effect with respect to such payment a withholding allowance certificates like the W-4 form that you saw furnished to the employer by employee certifying that the employee incurred no liability for income tax imposed under subtitle A for his preceding taxable year, because you were never ever required to file income tax legally at all, because you're not a citizen or resident of Washington, D.C., nor a federal worker that works in D.C., and anticipates that he will incur no liability for income tax imposed under subtitle A for his current taxable year. Yes, you do not expect to have any tax liability, because subtitle A does not even apply to you. Okay? You are not a citizen or resident of District of Columbia, nor a federal worker that works in D.C. So, you could say this is the closest thing to your situation that the law specifically somehow provides for. Okay? So here we are. Here's a Supreme Court case of Caminiti versus the United States, okay? And these laws that we saw, folks, are there for you to use in your favor. Law protects the good. Law protects the right, but you got to know it. So here it is. What the Supreme Court says? When the language of a statute is plain and does not lead to an observed impracticable results, there is no occasion or excuse for judicial construction or interpretation of the law. The language must be given again. Language must then be accepted by the courts as the sole evidence of the ultimate legislative intent, and the courts have no function but to apply and enforce the statute accordingly. So these definitions you saw, the court's got to follow them. The procedures you saw, the court's got to follow them. The plain language of them is there. No government lawyer or judge can say, no, the law doesn't mean that. It means actually this. The U.S. Supreme Court says. You judges have no authority to read the law different than what it actually says. But it's so clear, like what you've seen here with your own eyes, okay? Again, the court reinforces this point by saying it is elementary that the meaning of a statute or law must, in the first instance, be sought in the language in which the act is framed, and if that is plain, and if the law is within the constitutional authority of the lawmaking body which passed it, the sole function of the courts is to enforce it according to its terms, not to try to interpret it different than what it actually says, which sadly federal courts at lower levels do more often and these days more and more. Now, many of you work for employers that they do things online. The W-4 form is online. You cannot use our W-4 or exempt form that we prepared for you like that. So, what you do with that situation, go do a W-4 exempt online of your company that they forced upon you again by gun. You have to do it this way. Not the form, but the way we modified the form so you cannot change it. Okay, they do it on purpose. More convenient for them, and you cannot change to it. So in that case, we have a letter for you to send out to your employer by certified mail and have everything I showed you quoted attached. You're going to do the paper W-4 exempt like we did, and you mail it in to company's headquarters or the head payroll person or manager of payroll department, okay? You send it to them and make it part of your record that really you did not want to do a W-4 exempt without saying it was done under duress. You know, show it was done under duress with a gun to your head that the company had by using this electronic form, fill it out as it is. You cannot change anything. You cannot argue with a dumb computer, can you? Right? So here it is, okay? So here, the letter for free on our website, folks. 2, okay, payroll contact or headquarters of the company from you, the employee. And it says release of employer liability for not withholding income taxes from my pay. You put the employer's mind at ease that they're safe. It's not a problem for them to accept your W-4 exempt, okay? And your employee contact person, whoever, are recently filed exempt from withholding on the company's online payroll system. Attached to this letter, please find a printed copy of my IRS Form W-4 employee withholding exemption certificates, which, per the Internal Revenue Code, subsection 3402N, releases the company from any liability for not withholding income taxes for my pay. Right? And it's all attached, the whole thing. Okay? The IRS suggests that you retain this hard copy in my employment file for 4 years. Sincerely, you sign your name. Okay? So they cannot, if they want to use it against you, you have a copy in the file, what it is, this paper copy. Okay? So, very simple. Very, very simple. Okay? Now, if you join our Restore Freedom Plan, we do all of these petitions to Congressman part for you, and we'll guide you as necessary to make sure you do this stop withholding from your paycheck properly as well. Okay? Remember, start with step 1. Follow the law based on the official legal websites of the U.S. government. Verify for yourself that no law requires 99% of Americans to file and pay income taxes. Start with this 9-minute video and continue down the rest of this. Step 1 videos, there's a few short ones and a complete long version of these first 5 videos right there. And you go down step by step, step 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's step 5 I talked about. The petition and pay is one is very important step that you should be doing. Step 1 through 5 are all for free. Okay? Step 6 and 7 are optional. So with that, I want you to be able to keep your hard-earned money that belongs to you, my friend. Not the corrupt Washington, D.C. gang, the lazy employees They're big banks and corporations that use the system to get subsidies and money from the government to sell them, the toilet seat for $1,000. Okay, the military contractors, all the stuff, they do all this nonsense. Okay, there's so much corruption and waste that you should not have to pay for. All the wars you should not have to pay for. It's your money. You have a right to keep it by law if you understand the law. I love every one of you. And I want you to be able to keep your hard-earned money. But I cannot do it for you. You must make that choice. How? When you get in your car every day, put your smartphone up in your car, okay? Play it, watch the road, or you can listen to the videos, okay, and educate yourself. As you drive safely, watch the road. When you go to lunch at work, or drive home, listen to it one more time. At dinner time, put your smart video or personal computer screen up, and this time go through it and watch it and verify it's all truth, the law that you're seeing for yourself. And with that, you'll be free. Remember the famous words, what did it say? The Bible says, my people suffer for lack of knowledge. That's right. Ignorance hurts you. Ignorance kills you. Ignorance keeps you poor, and you have more stress in your life because of lack of money. What is the solution? Seek the truth. And the truth shall set you free. So go to freedomlawschool.org and continue to educate yourself and love people around you. Your spouse, your children, your family members. Expose them to our website, freedomlawschool.org. Text them, email them, okay? Tell them about us. Give them our brochures. We mail them to you for free, these Restore Freedom brochures, okay? We will mail them to you for free. Just call us at 813-444-4800, okay, to educate your fellow Americans, and we'll pay you. Put your name and phone number or your private number we'll give you on here, and when they join, we'll pay you when they join our Restore Freedom plan, okay? So your coworkers, friends, everybody you know, give them a chance. They may be closed-minded. They might roll their eyes, call you extremist, conspiracy theorist, whatever. Don't worry about it. It's not about you. It's about them. They're a caught in matrix of lies and deception. But you love them anyways. Give them the opportunity, chance to see the truth for themselves. Somebody open your eyes to the truth. Remember the first time you heard about this stuff? There are other people like you waiting for you to tell them the empowering truth about income tax and payroll taxes all being deception, fraud, and another. So with that, I give you my love and invite you to start living free now by going to freedomlawschool.org now.